My sister wanted to ruin my wedding, but she didn't know who my husband was. The warm glow of the cafe lights cast a soft haze over the room, blending seamlessly with the laughter and chatter of late-night patrons. I sat across from Ethan, my boyfriend of 2 years, who was unusually quiet. His stormy blue eyes fixed on me, making my heart pound faster than the espresso I'd just finished. "Is everything okay?" I asked, my voice trembling with curiosity. He smiled faintly and reached into his coat pocket. My breath caught as he pulled out a small velvet box. Time seemed to freeze. "I've been waiting for the perfect moment," he began, his voice steady despite the nervous edge. And I realized there's no perfect moment, only the right person. The entire cafe seemed to hold its breath. He opened the box to reveal a stunning diamond ring that sparkled under the dim lights. "Marry me, Lucy," he said, his words like a warm blanket on a cold night. I gasped, tears blurring my vision. "Yes," I whispered, then louder, "Yes!" Applause erupted around us as Ethan slipped the ring onto my finger. The weight of it felt surreal, a promise, a future, and a fresh start. But even as joy filled my heart, a shadow lingered in the back of my mind, me sister Amber. Amber had always been the center of attention, the golden child with a sharp wit and an even sharper tongue. Where I was cautious and thoughtful, she was bold and reckless. We loved each other once, but years of competition and bitterness had left us estranged. Later that night, I nervously dialed her number. Despite our differences, she was still family, and I wanted her to be part of this chapter of my life. "Hello?" Her voice was clipped, as if she already regretted answering. "Hey, Amber, I have some news," I said, forcing enthusiasm into my tone. "Ethan proposed. I'm getting married." Silence. "You're kidding," she finally said, her tone flat. "Nope, it's happening. I'd love for you to be there." Amber laughed, but there was no warmth in it. "Wow, Lucy, you're actually doing it. Settling down with some corporate robot, I bet." "Ethan's not like that," I said, my stomach twisting. "He's amazing." "If you say so." Her voice was laced with skepticism. "Well, good luck. You'll need it." The line went dead. I stared at my phone, hurt and anger mingling in my chest. Typical Amber, always undermining me, always finding a way to make everything about herself. But I wasn't going to let her ruin this for me. Over the next few weeks, wedding preparations consumed my life. Ethan was a dream, supportive and involved in every decision. My parents were thrilled, though my mother did her best to hide her disappointment that Amber wasn't as enthusiastic. Then, strange things started happening. The first was a series of mysterious emails sent to my wedding planner, canceling key vendors. At first, I thought it was a technical glitch, but the planner assured me someone had deliberately sent the cancellations. Ethan's eyes darkened when I told him, "Do you think Amber has anything to do with this?" I hesitated. "It sounds crazy, but maybe. She's been acting weird since I told her about the engagement." He wrapped an arm around me. "Don't worry, we'll figure it out." But the cancellations were just the beginning. Dresses were mysteriously ruined, seating charts were scrambled, and rumors about Ethan surfaced among my friends, rumors that were uncomfortably specific. Amber. It had to be her. Determined to confront her, I drove to her apartment, my heart racing with a mix of fury and desperation. She opened the door, looking flawless as always in a silk blouse and tailored jeans. "Lucy," she said, her lips curling into a smirk. "What brings you here?" "You know why I'm here," I snapped. "Stop sabotaging my wedding." Her eyes widened in mock innocence. "Sabotaging? Me? Come on, Lucy, don't be so paranoid." "Cut the act, Amber. The emails, the rumor sits you, isn't it?" She shrugged. "So what if it is? Someone has to look out for you. Ethan's not who you think he is." My blood turned cold. "What are you talking about?" She leaned in, her voice low and dripping with malice. "Do some digging, sis. You'll thank me later." I clenched my fists, anger bubbling in my chest. "Stay out of my life, Amber." "Good luck with that," she said with a wicked smile. As I stormed back to my car, her words echoed in my mind. What did she know about Ethan that I didn't? The morning sun filtered through my bedroom curtains, but its warmth did little to soothe the turmoil in my chest. Amber's cryptic words haunted me, casting a shadow over the happiness I was supposed to feel. What did she mean by, Ethan's not who you think he is. Ethan noticed my distraction during breakfast. You okay, love? He asked, pouring coffee into my mug. I forced a smile. Just wedding stress, I guess. He frowned. Want me to handle anything? I can talk to the planner or call the vendors again? No, it's fine. I'll deal with it. But I couldn't shake the nagging doubt. Amber was a manipulative troublemaker, but she wasn't usually this vague. If she was trying to plant a seed of doubt, she'd done a damn good job. Later that day, I sat down with my laptop and started digging into Ethan's past, not because I doubted him, but because I needed to prove Amber wrong. His social media was spotless, his job history impressive, and there wasn't a single scandal attached to his name. I exhaled in relief. Amber was bluffing. Or so I thought. That evening, my phone buzzed with a notification. It was a message from an unknown number. Check this out. Your perfect fiancé isn't so perfect after all. Attached was a blurry photo of Ethan at a crowded bar, his arm around a beautiful woman with long dark hair. They looked intimate, too intimate. My stomach twisted. Who was she? When was this taken? Ethan walked into the room, his brow furrowing when he saw my face. What's wrong? I held up the phone. Care to explain this? His eyes darkened as he took the phone from me. That's not what it looks like. Really? Because it looks like you're cozying up to someone who isn't me. He set the phone down with a sigh. Lucy, that's Elena. She's an old friend from college. We ran into each other at a networking event a few months ago. There's nothing going on between us. I wanted to believe him, but Amber's words had sown doubt in my mind. Why didn't you tell me? It didn't seem important. I didn't think you'd care. I crossed my arms. Well, now I care. He stepped closer, his expression earnest. I love you, Lucy. Between me and Elena, you have to trust me. I searched his face for any sign of deceit, but all I saw was sincerity. Okay, I said quietly. But if there's anything else you're hiding, I need to know. There isn't, he promised. I wanted to let it go, but Amber had already stirred the pot. The next few days were a blur of wedding chaos. Dresses were mysteriously delayed, the venue double booked, and my florist claimed someone had canceled my order. Amber's handiwork was written all over it. I confronted her again, this time at my parents' house. She was lounging on the couch, scrolling through her phone like she didn't have a care in the world. Enjoying yourself? I asked, my voice icy. She glanced up, feigning surprise. Lucy, what a pleasant surprise. Cut the crap, Amber. I know you're behind all of this. The cancellations, the rumors, the texts. Why are you doing this? She sighed dramatically. God, you're so sensitive. I'm just trying to protect you. Protect me? By ruining my wedding? Amber stood up, her eyes flashing. You're making a huge mistake marrying Ethan. He's not who you think he is. Stop saying that without giving me any proof, I shouted. She narrowed her eyes. Fine. You want proof? Meet me at Café Noir tomorrow at noon. I'll show you exactly who your precious fiancé is. I hesitated. Why should I trust you? Because, little sister, I'm the only one who cares enough to tell you the truth. Her words stung, but curiosity got the better of me. Fine, I'll be there. The next day, I arrived at Café Noir early, my nerves on edge. Amber was already there, sipping a cappuccino like she didn't have a care in the world. You actually showed up, she said with a smirk. Just get to the point, I snapped. She slid a folder across the table. Everything you need to know about Ethan is in there. My hands trembled as I opened the folder. Inside were photos, financial records, and a police report. My heart raced as I scanned the contents. This can't be real, I whispered. Amber leaned back, satisfaction gleaming in her eyes. Oh, it's real. Ethan's got a past, and it's not pretty. I closed the folder, my mind spinning. Why are you doing this? Because I'm your sister, Lucy, and I won't let you ruin your life. I stood up, fury and confusion warring within me. Stay out of my life, Amber. You've done enough. As I walked out of the cafe, the weight of the folder in my hands felt like a ticking time bomb. What was I supposed to do now? The folder sat on the passenger seat as I gripped the steering wheel, my knuckles turning white. Amber had done it, planted a seed of doubt so strong it threatened to consume me. I wanted to believe Ethan, but the evidence in that folder begged for attention. By the time I got home, My heart was racing. Ethan was in the living room, flipping through wedding venue brochures. He smiled when he saw me, but the smile faltered when he noticed my expression. "Hey," he said, setting the brochures down. "What's wrong?" I hesitated, the weight of the folder pressing against my conscience. Should I confront him, or wait until I had more answers? "Nothing," I lied, forcing a smile. "Just wedding stress." He stood up and wrapped his arms around me. "We'll get through this, Lucy. Together." I wanted to believe him. I needed to believe him. But Amber's words echoed in my mind. "He's not who you think he is." Later that night, while Ethan slept soundly beside me, I crept into the living room with the folder in hand. My hands trembled as I opened it and spread the contents across the coffee table. The first page was a police report from 10 years ago. Ethan's name was listed as a person of interest in a fraud investigation involving a tech startup. My stomach twisted. Fraud? Ethan had always been transparent about his career, so I thought. Next were financial records showing large sums of money transferred between offshore accounts. The dates matched the timeline of the investigation. The final page was a photo of Ethan with two men in dark suits, their faces partially obscured. Beneath the photo was a handwritten note. "Connections run deep. Trust at your own risk." I pressed my hand to my mouth, nausea rising. This couldn't be true. Ethan was the most honest, loving person I knew. But the evidence was damning. The next morning, I couldn't hide my turmoil. Ethan noticed immediately. "You look like you didn't sleep," he said, concern etching his face. "What's going on?" I swallowed hard. "Ethan, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest with me." He nodded. "Of course. Is there anything in your paste, anything at all that you haven't told me?" His expression darkened. "Why are you asking me that?" "Just answer the question." I pressed. He hesitated, and my heart sank. "There was a situation years ago," he admitted, "but it wasn't what it looks like." I crossed my arms. "Were you involved in fraud?" His jaw clenched. I was framed by my business partner. I cleared my name, but the stigma never went away." "And the offshore accounts?" "Part of the company's international investments," he said firmly. "It was all above board." I wanted to believe him, but doubt lingered. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because it's in the past," he said, his voice raw. "I didn't want it to affect us." Tears stung my eyes. "Amber showed me the evidence. She thinks you're hiding something." His face hardened. "Amber's always had it out for me. She can't stand that you're happy with someone who isn't under her control." "Maybe," I said quietly. "But what if she's right?" He grabbed my hands, his eyes intense. "Lucy, I love you. I've made mistakes, but I would never lie to you. You have to trust me." I wanted to trust him, but Amber had planted a seed that was hard to ignore. Over the next few days, tension simmered between us. Ethan tried to act normal, but I could feel the weight of unspoken words between us. Amber, meanwhile, was smug and self-assured every time I saw her. "You're welcome," she said one afternoon when I ran into her at the grocery store. "For what?" I snapped. "For saving you from a huge mistake," she said with a grin. "You'll thank me later." "Stay out of my life, Amber," I warned. She laughed. "Good luck with that." As I walked away, I felt a surge of determination. I needed the truth, and I was going to get it one way or another. That evening, I made a decision. If I was going to marry Ethan, I needed to know everything, and if Amber was going to meddle, I needed to shut her down for good. I pulled out my phone and made a call. "Detective Harris? This is Lucy Carter. I need to talk to you about an old case involving Ethan Black." Detective Harris agreed to meet me the next morning at a small cafe on the outskirts of town. The place was quiet, with only the soft clatter of cups and hushed conversations in the background. My palms were clammy as I waited, the folder clutched in my hands. Harris arrived right on time, a tall man with graying hair and a no-nonsense demeanor. He sat down across from me, his expression neutral. "You said you wanted to talk about Ethan Black," he said, getting straight to the point. "Yes." I placed the folder on the table. "I found this. My sister gave it to me, claiming Ethan has a criminal past." He opened the folder and flipped through the pages, his brow furrowing. "Where did she get this?" "I don't know. She said she was trying to protect me. Harris sighed and leaned back. Look, I remember this case. Ethan Black was investigated for fraud about 10 years ago, but he wasn't guilty. His business partner, a guy named Mitchell Barnes, was the real culprit. Barnes embezzled millions and tried to pin it on Ethan. Relief flooded through me, but there was still a lingering doubt. Why was Ethan listed as a person of interest? Because Barnes forged documents to make it look like Ethan was involved. It took months to clear his name. Ethan cooperated fully with the investigation and was never charged. I exhaled, the weight on my chest lifting slightly. So he's innocent? As far as the law is concerned, yes, Harris confirmed. But Barnes was never caught. He's still out there somewhere, and people in their industry remember the scandal. That kind of thing sticks, even when you're cleared. I nodded, processing the information. Amber had twisted the truth, using just enough fact to make it believable. Thank you, detective, I said, standing up. Good luck, he said. And tell Ethan I said hello. As I drove home, a mix of emotions churned inside Mirror Leaf, anger at Amber, and guilt for doubting Ethan. When I walked through the front door, Ethan was waiting for me. His expression was tense. Where were you? I went to see Detective Harris, I admitted. His eyes widened. Why? Because I needed to know the truth, I said softly. And now I do. He ran a hand through his hair. Lucy, I'm sorry, I interrupted. I should have trusted you. Amber twisted everything to make it look worse than it was. He pulled me into his arms. I don't blame you. Amber's always been a master manipulator. I leaned into him, the weight of the past few days finally lifting. She won't come between us anymore, I promise. Ethan kissed the top of my head. We're in this together, but I knew Amber wouldn't give up that easily. She thrived on chaos, and she wasn't going to let me have my happily ever after without a fight. The next day, I confronted Amber at our parents' house. She was lounging by the pool, sipping a margarita like she didn't have a care in the world. You lied to me, I said, standing over her. She raised an eyebrow. Oh, did I? You twisted the truth to make Ethan look guilty, but I talked to Detective Harris. I know the real story. Amber sighed dramatically. So you believe him over me? Your own sister? Yes, I said firmly, because Ethan has never tried to manipulate me or ruin my life. You, on the other hand, she smirked. You're so naive, Lucy. People like Ethan always have secrets. You just haven't found them all yet. I'm done listening to you, I said. Stay out of my life, Amber, and stay away from my wedding. She stood up, her expression turning cold. You'll regret this. I doubt it. As I walked away, I felt a surge of empowerment. Amber's reign of terror was over, or so I thought. 2 days before the wedding, chaos struck again. The venue called to say there had been a scheduling error, and they could no longer accommodate us. The caterer canceled last minute, citing unforeseen circumstances. And to top it all off, my wedding dress went missing from the boutique. Amber's fingerprints were all over it. Ethan found me sitting on the floor of our living room, surrounded by vendor cancellation notices. Lucy, what's going on? Amber, I said through gritted teeth. She's trying to ruin everything. His jaw tightened. I'll handle it. No, I said, standing up. We'll handle it together. She's not going to win. We spent the next 24 hours making calls, pulling favors, and piecing everything back together. Friends and family pitched in, determined to see us get married. By the night before the wedding, we had a new venue, a new caterer, and a backup dress. It wasn't perfect, but it was enough. Amber had thrown everything she could at us, but we were still standing. The morning of the wedding, I stood in front of the mirror, my heart pounding. Despite everything, I felt beautiful and ready. My mother walked in, her eyes misty. You look stunning, sweetheart. Thanks, Mom. She hesitated. Amber isn't here. I met her gaze in the mirror. Good. She sighed. She's still your sister, Lucy. Not today, she isn't. As I walked down the aisle, my eyes locked on Ethan's. He looked at me like I was the only person in the world, and in that moment, all the chaos faded away. We had survived Amber's attempts to tear us apart, and now nothing could stop us. Or so I thought. The wedding was breathtaking despite Amber's sabotage attempts. The new venue, a serene vineyard surrounded by rolling hills, was even more beautiful than the original. Sunlight danced through the trees, as Ethan and I stood before our loved ones, ready to seal our vows. As the officiant spoke, I glanced at Ethan. His eyes glimmered with love, and my heart swelled. This was our moment. Amber hadn't won. "I now pronounce you husband and wife," the officiant declared. "You may kiss the bride." Cheers erupted as Ethan dipped me for a kiss that sealed our victory. I felt weightless, free from Amber's toxicity. The reception was a blur of laughter, dancing, and heartfelt speeches. Amber's absence was a relief, but deep down, I couldn't shake the feeling that she was lurking somewhere, plotting her next move. I was proven right when she stormed into the venue, dressed in a sleek black gown that screamed villainous. Gasps rippled through the crowd as she strutted toward the dance floor, a malicious smirk plastered on her face. "Amber," I hissed, stepping in front of her. "What the hell are you doing here?" She feigned innocence. "Oh, did I forget to RSVP? This is my wedding. You weren't invited." "Well, I'm here now." She leaned closer, her voice dripping with venom. "And I have a little surprise for you." Before I could respond, she clapped her hands. Two men in suits wheeled in a projector and set up a screen at the edge of the dance floor. "What is this?" Ethan demanded, stepping beside me. Amber's smile widened. "A wedding gift. You're going to love it." The lights dimmed, and the screen flickered to life. Images appeared, photos of Ethan with Mitchell Barnes, dated only a few months ago. My stomach dropped. "These are fake," Ethan said, his voice steady but tense. Amber's voice cut through the room like a blade. "Are they, though? I guess Lucy can decide for herself." The guests whispered among themselves, the festive atmosphere shattered. My mind raced. Amber had clearly doctored the photos, but the damage was already done. I turned to face the guests, my voice loud and firm. "Everyone, please enjoy the reception. This interruption will be handled privately." Reluctantly, they dispersed, though the curiosity lingered in their eyes. I grabbed Amber by the arm and dragged her outside, Ethan following close behind. "You've crossed the line," I spat. Amber laughed, a sound devoid of any warmth. "Oh, come on, Lucy. I just wanted to show you who your husband really is." "Enough," Ethan said, his voice cold. "You've tried to ruin Lucy's happiness for years. It ends now." Amber's eyes gleamed with defiance. "And what are you going to do about it, Ethan?" Ethan pulled out his phone and played a recording. It was Amber's voice, bragging to someone about how she had fabricated the evidence. My jaw dropped. "When did you get that?" "After the dress went missing," Ethan said. "I had someone follow her. She couldn't help but gloat." Amber's face turned pale. "You can't use that." "I can, and I will," Ethan said. "Unless you agree to stay out of our lives permanently." She opened her mouth to argue, but the fight drained from her. "Fine," she muttered. "You win." Ethan and I watched as she stalked away, her figure disappearing into the night. I turned to Ethan, my heart racing. "You really did all that for me?" He cupped my face in his hands. "I'd do anything for you, Lucy." Tears welled in my eyes. "I love you." "I love you too." The rest of the night was a blur of happiness. Amber was gone, her attempts to ruin our lives thwarted. Our friends and family rallied around us, erasing the tension with love and joy. As we danced under the stars, I whispered into Ethan's ear, "We did it." He smiled. "Together." And for the first time in forever, I knew that nothing fanned, no one could ever come between us again. In general, write your opinion about this story. You can also share yours in the comments. It will be interesting to read. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Your support is very important to me. Take care of yourself